How's it going, guys? We're going to get started in just a second. All right, guys. So, let me share the screen here. Cool. Can you guys hear me? All right, cool. Good morning, everyone. So, we're just going to get started right away. Just going over the market here. What I see for SPY, here is, let's go on MESM, matter of fact. So we're looking at ES here, and what occurred was last week we pressed into this major zone, which I'm going to go over in just a second. So we pressed into this major zone here, which are these equal highs, right? 81.32, right? So right here, there's equal highs, and right above it, there's a fair value gap at right here. And on Friday's price action, what we did was we, continued higher off these levels, and we pressed in towards that fair value gap and took out liquidity. And so what ended up occurring after that was we ended up rejecting aggressively to the downside, and we ended up creating some, we took out these equal lows here, and we ended up bouncing for the day. And now we're sitting in this large fair value gap. And right now we're rejecting. So the couple of important zones I have on my chart are this new weekly opening gap, which is marked on the 1 hour chart with Friday's close and Sunday's open. And we're looking at that as an area of reference, right? Where price can eventually go to or come reject to and, re-deliver to constantly. Now, for example, here, right? We have, price can eventually break out higher in towards this equal highs and eventually buy side liquidity on the, if you guys could see on the 4 hour time frame right here, these two highs are equal, and there's also buy side liquidity above that level. This area is our weekly or monthly objective depending on when it wants to go there, right? And that's an area we're looking for. Now, what can also occur today is price can use this area as a rejection and re-deliver down in towards 40.96 because it has been avoiding these lows for a very long time. So if you go here on the daily or weekly, matter of fact, this area, but also this volume imbalance here, could be an area of reference price can re-deliver to, right? And it can be an area of rejection or whatever the case may be. So we can use this area as support and resistance, right? Because it is a daily volume imbalance, this weekly volume imbalance right here, right? The separation between this candle and this candle's bodies creates a volume imbalance, and this can be an area for, price can reject there or use it as support or resistance, right? Now, if price wants to break down lower and we see a breakdown lower, we're gonna look to see price coming to this 40.96 level, and then we can eventually look for a bounce off that level potentially. But overall, if price is it's just aggressive, we can see that continuation in towards this, um, 41.92, 4200, and 42.25 this week. Now let's check if you have news, right? So let me put news right here. So today is Monday. Monday we have Empire State Manufacturing Index, and Tuesdays and Wednesday we don't really have much. Tuesday and Thursday we don't have. Tuesday and Wednesday we don't have anything. Thursday we have a couple of news at around 8:30, 8:45, and 10 a.m. Friday we have Flash Manufacturing PMI, Flash Services. Not much going on next week. There's a lot of news next week, but nothing crazy. But the main important ones will be unemployment claims, pending home sales, CB Consumer Index. But the week after that is when we have FOMC press conference in May. So May 3rd we have FOMC press conference, and then federal funds rates, FOMC statements, things like that. So this week should be a nice trading week for the most part. We should be good. So the news was, for news at 8:30 a.m. today was Empire State Manufacturing Index, and the actual was 10.8. So actual greater than forecast is good for the currency. So the actual was greater than the forecast by a long shot, and so that is good for currency. That means it's bad for price. So if it's good for currency, that means the dollar is rallying. That means it's the market can potentially break down. Doesn't mean this all the time, right? Well, that will be in a ideal scenario. You want to see the dollar falling, and the indices rallying, right? Futures rallying. Okay. So now we have framed today's price action. We're potentially looking to see if price can deliver down here, because there's equal lows down here. There's relatively equal lows down here as well. So this would be an area where I'd like to see price deliver to. Obviously can break down these lows as well, right? Because buy side liquidity has been grabbed, and the sell side liquidity, like the major sell side liquidity, is down here. It just really depends on how price reacts to this low here. If we blast through 41.38, then we're gonna see that aggressive push all the way down to this 40.96 level. Because this higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low are all made on the higher time frames. So this higher time frame, higher low needs to get taken out before we see an aggressive continuation to the downside. Now, if you run these highs aggressively and we break above this 41.89 level, then we're going to see that push higher. But with that being said, this concludes the ES analysis. Let's go to lower time frame to see if there's any equal lows or highs on this time frame. So right here, we have equal highs up here as well. So again, this could be an area of reference, right? Just depends on how price reacts to these lower highs here, right? And then we can make an informed judgment off that. But for now, I'm just going to observe the chart and go on a different, stock. Again, same thing with SPY here. Watching the same thing. We had this huge breakout. Right, so how I would just look at SPY here is, it's coming off in this channel. Right, so you can come retest the bottom of this channel right here, before bouncing to the top. And what it can do along the way is, potentially, drop down to these lows here. So like maybe come down to this area, but I kind of doubt it. We'll see. The best target for me would be just these lows getting taken out. This 41, 10, 15. So just price tapping for that area would be the best case scenario. How I'm gonna approach this is I'm just simply gonna look at the 15-minute time frame, and I'm gonna utilize the 5 and 8 EMA. If the price is below that, then I'll look for downside. If not, then I'm not interested. Let's go over a couple more, and then I'm gonna call it a session here. Apple, coming off these key levels here, right? Utilizing this trend line pretty well here. Coming off of it, bounced off of it, right? Created a gap. Now, if Apple wants to break down, it needs to break this low, first and foremost. But what we can see here is that, we can utilize these points as pivot points, right? It's also a gap that needs to get filled here. Right here. Right, so these are your major your two important intraday pivot points. Excuse me, I can't even speak today. So that's how you want to utilize it. These highs and these lows, and you can look for adverse reactions off these levels. So that's how I look about it. Just if 164 or 165 holds, then you can see higher into like 166, 167. If this 166 breaks, 166, 167 gets taken out, then we can see price hold this level, hold this zone, and we can see it push higher. If not, we can utilize it as a rejection zone. Same utility with this zone here. Daily might give another push, but we'll see. Because this could eventually fall again like this, what it did here. Right, we have that huge rally, and then we have that fall. So we're slowly getting there, right? So this is what Apple's looking like. We're slowly getting to that level, and we'll see if you want to react aggressively off that or not. Well, we might. So once this trend breaks, then I'll probably look for some downside. AMD here, holding on to its last leg. This is an important pivot point. If you break this, if you give up this $90 level, then we could see some downside. But if you do expand out of this zone, this is going to be an amazing breakout for the upside going into, for example, 104 level maybe. So definitely watch AMD, because it can give some like crazy moves. So this is going to be my basic support level here. Honestly, if it breaks and holds this level aggressively, then we can see some huge downside on AMD. So I'm just going to monitor that as well. And then last but not least, we have Tesla here. So Tesla here, for some downside, we need to see it break this level. Let me mark it out for you. For some, again, depends on what market wants to do, but if it wants to break, it would need to break this 181.98 level, so we can confirm some downside setups. Right now, it is gapping up by 2 points, and then I think it'll eventually come back down and retest it. So we are gapping up a little bit, and we can utilize that gap again as our pivot point for price to come to. All right, and this is going to be a zone that we're also going to be watching here. So here, price can push up here because that's a order block area, and we can reject that level, and so we can utilize that as a pivot point again as well. Also, if it fills the gap and ends up using this this area here again as well as an area of support potentially, right? Because it's above it right now, and if it comes to it, right, it can utilize it as support and eventually bounce higher in towards, for example, this level, and eventually these highs up here that you want to be looking for, these highs. Again, really completely comes down to what the market wants to do, if it's bearish or bullish, right? Another area of, you know, pivot point would be down here, this 182 level, which is going to be very important in terms of holding price. If it doesn't, if it gives it up, and if you break on a higher time frame, then we'll see some easy downside. With that being said, also I'm gonna go over Bitcoin as well real quick. So with Bitcoin here, what we're observing is, if you go on the weekly, monthly, right? Just monthly. So within the monthly, we see that we have this huge fair value gap that we're potentially pushing into. Right? And within that, we have some daily ones here, right? And we can also utilize this weekly level here as well. We can just automatically just focus on that. So we have this weekly fair value gap that we can, area of inefficiency that we can potentially push to, going into maybe this month or so. And so we can expand higher out of that level. It just really depends on if these levels want to hold on price, and it can, definitely send Bitcoin higher. If we're using the box method, because the range of basically the range of a consolidation can be the range of the breakout. So the range of this consolidation is this right here, right? And you can clone and duplicate it, and that will be the range of the breakout. And the range of the breakout goes into this 3,500 level, 35K level. So I think it has some way to work up in towards this area, but we'll see how it plays out. And yeah. With that being said, this is going to conclude today's session regarding the pre-market live trading review, and I'll see you guys in the Discord. Peace out. And make sure you guys leave a like too. I'd appreciate that. But with that being said, take care.